What the fuck is up, little cummers? It's composting. I'll be your host, Rosa, joined today, as always, by my uncivil co-host,
I'm
Joku.
very civil, disobedient.
Your civil liberties. And today, we're joined by someone who beat the shit out of a French lady on TV, Lady Farrell. And a gay with a gun, queer armorer.
Yeah.
How's it going? How are we feeling?
Can't complain too loudly.
Yep, or else this is a hostage situation. They are being held in the Kunker, the remote Albanian cum-themed bunker in which we record, and they are tied to my AC.
It is hot and damp here because I do not have AC.
Yep. They're in the
It's
Saudi
also
Arabia.
very humid.
Yeah. It's raining. It was storming up in New York. We're apparently gonna get some twisters today.
I dehydrated marshmallows as like a treat for the apartment, and then left them out and got a very fun lesson in physics and humidity and what happens if you leave dehumidified food out.
It gets eaten.
It gets rehumidified. It just
Wow.
became marshmallows again.
That's crazy. Much like the lesson that we learned about marshmallows today, we learned a lesson through Alex Garland's writer and director of the 2024 Civil War movie by A24. We learned a lesson about war. What did you learn about war, Joku?
Bad. War is
War
bad.
is bad.
War bad.
So-
Not the war.
Lady Farrell, what did you learn? What did you learn about war in this movie?
Vote harder or something.
Vote. It's
Status quo good, war bad.
It's like Malcolm X said, by any votes necessary.
Right?
Put that on a t-shirt. What did you learn, Queer Armor, about war today?
I feel like it was useful to watch this with y'all because I am very easily susceptible to hype.
Yeah.
I genuinely can, if it's something that has a thing you need to watch a bunch to get little pieces out of, I'll find the little pieces fascinating, and it can make me skip past things like, oh yeah, there's a character they just fucking let die. Like,
yeah, you were really missing the forest for the trees the entire movie. And it was very funny. I started getting suspicious that you were on Alex Garland's payroll.
I still disagree it's as bad as y'all think it is, because I think there's a lot of really good pieces.
Pretty bad. It's
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But before we get to our thoughts on the movie, let's do a little bit plot summary.
There was
All
a
right.
plot.
There was a beginning, middle, and end to this movie. So Kristen Durst, Dunst, not Durst, not Fred Durst's daughter. She's a war photographer. She takes pictures. She makes snuff movies, basically. And she's hanging out by the A24 Civil War water bottle convention, right? Trying to get some water in New York City. And there she meets her wacky young sidekick, Jesse, who's there and is hit by a cop. Then a suicide bombing happens, and that's when you learn that this isn't your dad's Civil War. This is the fucked up A24 Civil War from Alex Garland.
So
And-
the start of the movie is specifically worth pointing to because I think it actually highlights one of the things I like about this movie. It's focusing on the journalism aspect is going to be the sensationalized focus on the big bangs and the explosive stuff, when the actual inciting incident is people protesting that they don't have access to water, and there is a water truck that is broken down, and there are people who are trying to get to the water. But it's a thing that even the movie creators are like specifically skipping over. They're showing, you're focusing on the riot and on the bombing that happens very quickly shortly after, and you're not thinking about there's people there who don't have water, who in one of what we think of as the most affluent cities in America don't have basic resources and are at this level of scramble and struggle.
Thank God no one in New York City doesn't have access to water.
When you have a
Currently.
mother bringing out a child to a riot because they haven't had water for weeks, is the implication.
I don't think it's
Supposed to be
sensational to
skipped over.
focus on the suicide bombing at the water, at the, like...
It is sensationalist in the sense that there is an inciting incident that everybody skips over. And it's worth
No,
pointing out
not really.
there's a-
They give a lot of focus and attention to the fact that it's a protest over water. There are like 5 characters that mention that they're there and they need water.
I would point out, until I brought it up, we hadn't even mentioned that was the inciting incident. Like, it is very
Because I'm
deep
trying
when
to
you're
quickly
deciding
go
that.
through the plot of the movie.
Right, but the very first few times you're watching this movie, the beginning is you're watching these characters that are showing up to a protest,
Mhm.
and then there's an explosion, and it seems like the big focus is there is this explosion, and that's the big memory everybody walks away from. Like, there was people showing up. It's not even really clear. You have to hear a few throwaway lines in the movie for them to
They get full camera and they're like, I need water, I need water. And
with
they-
a loud
they have
soundtrack with a bunch of people yelling.
They
with
have a shot
couple.
of a water truck. in the movie.
They show a water truck and they show people like protesting and fighting over it. But again, I feel like
It
they're not.
wasn't even show don't tell. They literally told.
Again, I disagree because you're talking about like it's a very chaotic scene with very loud music and a bunch of yelling, and you see a lot of people who are coming to cover this protest. I think the thing the movie does well is there is a much worse
What the
part
fuck
going
is
on in the
someone yelling?
background.
I'm sorry. Someone's
I
yelling.
promise
at
I'm
me.
not just trying to be oppositional here, but my read was very different. My read was pretty much for the whole movie was just like, look at this spectacle, look at how bad it could be.
Yeah,
Happened. Like,
yeah, that's the entire movie.
that's kind of I mean,
It's a very apolitical movie, and it doesn't.
Yeah,
really,
and you like
Yeah.
it
it's
doesn't really choose any sides, and it doesn't really say anything.
it doesn't
all.
explain how this even happened beyond like big authoritarian man president do bad big authoritarian thing. And
Which I
then-
mean, I guess is fine, but like I don't really think like at the current political climate that like people were wanting that. Like I think
I
if this
don't-
came out like
in the
10
Obama
years ago,
presidency, it would
yeah,
be-
like it would be like more of like a spectacle film. I think maybe now people are looking for like an actual
yeah,
like
it
side
wanted
to be chosen.
serious comedy. Yeah, I mean commentary.
I think
Except it's
the thing
not.
is,
It's a deeply unserious movie.
it's trying to have the focus not be on the war. It's not giving the specifics of the conflict as like, this is a movie that is showing you exactly what will happen in an American Civil War. The whole point
but the
is
thing
that
is,
there's
You
this
don't
chaotic
need to
lack of
you-
understanding around like if somebody is sorry I'm if you're
I mean,
having
I feel like it's kind of a mess in that like for if it's trying to like portray more like the human cost of this kind of conflict, there need to be characters that you can actually identify with and that are more than
Yes. Which is why
I will agree they fail there. That especially Kristen Stewart's performance is really bad. Having seen
I would be fine if the movie didn't like do a good job, which it doesn't do a good job in explaining the conflict, the motivations behind it, the ideologies of the people fighting in the movie. I'd be fine if they didn't explain that, if the characters were interesting, which they're not. You have you have young person that doesn't know anything, free-spirited Mexican guy, old wise black man, and a cardboard cutout of Kristen Dunst. And that is the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe I saw it wildly differently
here, but I feel like I just watched like a 2-hour Call of Duty fucking playthrough.
Yes, it had video game plot. It literally just had like the little audio tapes where it explained the story.
I feel like you're cutting out the idea of like transfer of trauma and somebody who is like, yeah, I'm ready to go off and take pictures and be excited by this thing, and not understanding the reality of it. And flat out the plot is somebody watching their hero.
Bad job.
Do we want to keep like? It's hard for me to talk when I can't get a thought out.
Yeah. Okay.
The idea of the movie is it's somebody who is excited by this thing that they don't understand, that is dangerous, that seeing it up close, they are throwing up, they are screwing up, it is distracting, and they're missing huge pieces of the context. And the end of the movie is them watching their hero die, and them internalizing the oversaturation of trauma and the don't think about it, just push into it, and eventually it'll just kill you. Kind of that like almost poison that has been transferred to the next generation by her not hard saying this is a problem and addressing her own. She's a terrible fucking actress. I will openly admit, having seen it with more distance, that like if that character was more compelling, you could make this land. But the read I get from her performance is one of tired, that she's trying to hit, having been so fucking jaded from the world around her that she is inadvertently making the next generation just as fucked up. But I also can see how people it's not reading as tired, it's reading as just nothing.
I get that. I think that you're explaining the intent behind the movie, and like I think that if it was done with better writing, I think that these themes would have been more impactful. It's just that if you can't write something as complex as that well, it's not going to land. But I'm gonna keep going with the plot summary. All right.
Okay.
So, the Go Bar. Kristen. Yeah, and the who's the who plays
who's the Mexican?
Wagner Moura.
Yeah.
Also, it's Kirsten, not
Kirsten. I'm sorry. They go to the bar, and they discuss the fact that apparently the Texas and California alliance, known as the Western Forces, is going to make its way into Washington D.C. and seize power on the 4th of July. And they bring up the Portland Maoists, which is just kind of funny, in the Central Florida Alliance. These things are never mentioned again, but I think that Portland Maoists is just, that's quite silly, and I enjoyed that.
President brings up the Florida Alliance a couple times, but it's details that could be skipped over.
Yeah,
I thought the president mentioned the Maoists as well.
He did?
That's what I believe happened, but that could be wrong.
Yo, 2 Maoists mentioned? Hell yeah. Black Red Guard's eating this episode, bro. He's popping off listening to this. Yeah, and then they go on their whimsical, wacky journey to Washington D.C. to Washington D.C. the fall of the American government. God, I'm fucking good. I'm fucking
Rim shot.
good. Yeah, along the way, they stop at a gas station. They need Canadian money. They see some dead guys hanging out. Well, alive guys, but they're basically dead.
Are we skipping over the shock that Canadian money is worth more than American?
Dude, and that really made me think. God damn, what does this country come to? What really got me,
$300 getting you a tank of getting you a fucking sandwich.
Yeah, that's just
Lied.
Joe Biden's America, bro. We're living in that shit, bro. Thanks, like all this woke-flation. Yeah.
I mean, it's really easy to skip over that, but imagine all of your friends not being able to afford food anymore. Like all of the money suddenly the little bit of money they had suddenly being worthless. I can understand how that's one of those bits that like I actually think is worth highlighting, because we need communities building supports that make if money falls apart, what happens? It's a minor detail that carries a lot of weight.
It's a minor detail that should carry a lot of weight.
Except it doesn't, because the way that they do
Again,
that is a hick says $300. Shit, that can buy you a sandwich. We got ham and we got cheese.
Yeah, I still feel like where this movie is falling flat is that all of these details are just used as spectacle and set dressing without trying to make any kind of point.
Yeah,
It's like focused on like, wow, like look what happens when we bring U.S. foreign policy onto American soil. Imagine, like, think about all these places that we've done this to. But it doesn't do that. It just goes, man, imagine if everything sucked worse. We should just keep voting. Like,
yeah.
that's all I'm
You
getting
know what
from.
it gave off? It gave off like teen dystopian novel. It was giving.
It's funny.
It had very Gen X vibes. It had very like, well, everything sucks and I can't be bothered to give a shit.
Wait, which is it? The movie doesn't have a political message, or the movie has this political message? Because
there's no political message. It's just like
No, its political message is just like milquetoast, status quo, liberal apathy, essentially.
much.
I think there's some argument to be made that it's not trying to make a political message, it's trying to make a personal one around a lot of the things that we think of as like noble and righteous and good causes. We can very easily get swept up in the sensationalized bits of. We can see our hero going out and taking these cool photos and not have the experience of, no, when she was doing that, she had just off screen
What cool photos does
barely
she
avoided
take?
a bomb. That the very beginning is you are watching somebody who wants to be a
What were
photojournalist.
the cool pictures that she took in this movie?
The very beginning, she's taking a picture of the bomb that has just gone off, and then you see the younger version of her taking a picture of her doing the work, her taking a picture of it, like that is this awesome noble thing to be exploring. It reads as like unpacking hero worship and realizing your heroes might actually just be broken.
Okay, what I'm asking
That's why I got
is,
at least.
does she take cool pictures in the movie, or does the movie
Couple.
tell you, wow, she takes cool pictures and then not show you any? It just tells.
It flat out shows you
Yeah,
the pictures she takes multiple times.
Yeah, it pops up the pictures.
Like it stops when she takes a shot. It stops the frame and shows you the pictures she's taking multiple times.
Yes, except I don't think that any of them were like any more exceptional than the ones that Jessie was taking, even though she's supposed to be new at it.
I mean, they show the best examples, and the ones that they show, regardless of the quality of the handful of shots that they show for each, they show her taking photos as a war journalist, and they show her a bomb has just gone off, and her immediate instinct is to start taking pictures, not helping people, not there's people bleeding out right next to you, try and prevent that. Her instinct is take photos of it. You can even argue it's messily done and it's kind of shitty, but at the thing we were laughing at the ending where she doesn't help the guy, she takes a picture of his body. She's stuck in this mentality of the good thing to do is just document, and it's kind of broken her. So like,
Except they don't point out that the guy could have been helped.
Yeah.
When they're driving away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
That
just
was
kind of-
bullshit.
They
That
just
was
treat it
like-
as a foregone conclusion that like he has been hit by a bullet, therefore he
Right.
must.
True.
So I
Me
think
when my infant son gets hit by a bullet.
what's the drunk guy's name again?
Joel.
Joel is driving. The younger one is literally throwing up from adrenaline dump after having been in front of a grave full of corpses she was about to join. After getting hit by a car, she's piles of adrenaline, not thinking, overwhelmed, and the woman in front has a lifetime of that. They show over and over again, she's not dealing with her trauma. She's assuming that it's noble. She's just swallowing it over and over again. She's the sin eater of fucking adrenaline, except she's not processing the horrors that she's witnessing. She's just trying to move past it.
What do you think about that, Joku?
What?
That-
I took one note in this movie. This is a complete non sequitur, but
Okay.
you've mentioned it twice now, and I will comment on it. The one note that I put is the vomit looks really bad.
Yeah, it does.
Blood looks
It
bad
looks-
too. The blood looks really bad.
Blood looks fine, but the vomit, it looked like they were just holding a tube and they were kind of just going out. But I would agree with your point that they have so much trauma that they are more inclined to just take a photo instead of helping.
Yeah. Except that's kind
I
of
feel like
But I mean,
Well,
the
no.
way it's executed is not very good, I would
Yeah.
say.
I still feel like I'm failing here in that like I just couldn't connect with any of the characters in
No,
this.
it's sort of like she's sort of written like Shadow the Hedgehog, where it's like she's so fucked up from her past that she doesn't care anymore.
It's trauma
It's
written by somebody who
Shadow-
doesn't
it's-
understand it.
Yeah, no, it's Shadow the Hedgehog level writing, and I think that calling a spade, it's just
I didn't hate her performance as much as y'all did, because I wasn't reading it as nothing. I'm reading it as there is a performance, and then stacked on top of that is an attempt to like kill every emotion that's there because she's so fucking beat down.
I don't even hate her performance. I just don't know what she was supposed to be performing. I feel like she had I feel like the writing was weak and there was no I feel like she got probably no direction.
yeah.
Because-
Kirsten Dunst is a
I
good
can't even
actor.
remember who
is a good
pointed
actress.
it out, but she has the same facial expression throughout the film.
Yeah, and
It's-
that's why I was
You're trying to get across like, okay, she's emotionally stunted right now. She's in the throes of PTSD and is completely shut down or whatever. Okay, but like, I don't know. It doesn't
doesn't
that way. It just
Funny
reads-
that sorry.
it
doesn't
just
go
reads a
anywhere.
bunch of cardboard cutouts and no real message, no real anything. To me, it is just war spectacle. It's just
And-
war.
And that's not to say that like apathetic, distant characters can't be interesting. Like Paul Schrader is like tied for being my favorite, like one of my favorite directors. And that's something he does well. Having these
If you're gonna have a
distant,
character like that,
apathetic
you
characters.
have to contrast them with someone else.
Yeah,
Mm.
and you have to
Everyone was in that same boat. Like everyone was just kind of like staring into the middle distance the whole movie, except for in the specific moments where they are actively under threat, and then they act a little irrationally, which would be expected. But then it's like right back to everyone is staring off into the middle distance, and it's just I don't know. There just wasn't anything meaningful or impactful there for me.
I see if they had scenes where the character that she's supposed to be transferring this trauma onto, they show her before she actually has that, because the younger girl doesn't really have any growth. She comes ready to be a war journalist, seeing all of this stuff, like literally seeing an explosion in front of her face and still being like, yeah, sure, I'm going to keep doing this.
Wait, yeah,
She
so
like
she
shits
doesn't-
on the bed a little bit in like trying to keep up with her hero, but she doesn't actually grow in terms of like, you don't see her fully take it on, other than at the very end, which they don't really show well at all, other than with that fucking bloom effect.
She hasn't
I think
changed. She kind of handles it all
Yeah.
well.
I think the also showing growth is like not just keep going with it. After Kirsten gets shot, they don't really tend to her. They just kind of keep going and go to the president.
Right.
which shows
She's supposed to be so
moving on.
jaded. Yeah.
Yeah. And they also made an allusion earlier in the beginning of the movie that she's gonna take a photograph of her death.
Yeah.
And
So
then
there
it
is
gets
that foreshadowing.
And then
Well.
when I was, no one's gonna believe me because this sounds like a made up story, but I was in the theater when this movie came out. I first saw it. I was like, oh, the little girl's gonna take a picture of her getting shot, isn't she?
It's a
At that
nice,
line.
weird detail that the reason why they have that clicking noise when she falls on the ground and is taking the pictures, on the bottom of her camera, there's a thing you can get for that model. It's called an auto advance. And basically it means you don't have to keep clicking the trigger. You press it once and it'll cycle a bunch through you. So I did think it was legitimately it's a nice detail, but you can tell they came up with this detail and then wrote the fucking script around it. Because Alana, you called it out. It would make more sense for her to get tackled out of the way. But if she's pushed down and the trigger's already advancing, that's the reason she has the pictures of Lee getting shot.
I mean,
yeah,
the reason that scene doesn't work for me is that if you I don't care how emotionally blasted you are, I don't care whatever your trauma response is. If you see someone standing in a hallway and someone else about to shoot them, and you care enough to push them out of the way, you're not going to just gently halfway shove them down and then pose in the middle of the
No, you stand there and then you do the Brazilian Jesus pose. They literally do the wow, isn't she sacrificing herself like Christ of Nazareth right now?
I feel like they
There's
were
one
trying to have her
her arms out
platoon.
when she falls.
She should have been down on her knees and
Yeah,
You know,
seriously.
She
They-
looks at the camera as
She
she falling
do
down.
that, but failed miserably.
Yeah, her character is like Rick from Rick and Morty. I made this comparison on call, except she literally whenever the girl's like sad or something, she turns to the camera and is like, love is a chemical reaction that incentivizes animals to breed, Morty. Why are you so emotional, Morty?
She was like the one character in the fucking Dewey Cox story, Tim Meadows' character. You don't want none of this journalism now.
Yeah.
I love you called it out at the exact right scene for that too. That
Yeah.
this is the job, Morty. This is journalism, Morty. This is how journalism works, Morty. Which on the one hand, I do get that is her transfer, that is her trauma,
Rick.
but
Those
it's so
bodies were
poorly
kinda
written.
scary, Rick.
Oh,
dude,
jeez, Rick.
by the way, the
These
guy
Rickers bodies.
the guy at the gas station with the bodies, he looks like Logic, and I just wanted to point that out.
I also love the fact that is definitely a New Jersey gas station. From the way the guy's dressed, from the setting, that is a New Jersey gas station. I can recognize that much.
Yeah. So they the old wise black man archetype gets shot, and they don't save him. By my favorite character in this movie, played by Jesse Plemons, and he gives the best performance in this movie far and away, which is why it's the only scene people are talking about.
I had to look it up. He's uncredited. It's not just the character's not named. Jesse Plemons
Got
is
to give him the
uncredited.
Natural Born Killer's sunglasses too.
Yeah, he's got the red sun. Joku, my beloved co-host, would you like to talk about the Jesse Plemons scene?
Yeah, it's a pretty. It's. I think it's probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
Just because it has Jesse Plemons.
And minorities getting killed, which you're.
Yeah. He kills
Jesus.
2 Asian people. Some guy just says he's from Hong Kong and then gets shot.
And then he says he's a Maoist and that Hong Kong is China.
Yeah.
But it's the what kind of American are you scene?
Yeah.
We ask the people where they are from in America, and he kills the people who aren't from America. It sounds like a simple premise, but Jesse Plemons gives a fantastic performance, and makes this character feel real, and it
Even
was
that
just a
didn't
great
work
scene.
very well for me. I was stuck thinking about fucking. Was that a Tarantino flick? Are you an American or an American? Like that same. Like I'm just gonna throw a little edgy, like cool scene here. You know, and
Look,
it's,
I'm
I don't-
trying to find one scene I
This
like.
movie worked for me. I was just like,
The
who is this?
details
for?
are weird details in that I noticed that I genuinely liked. The Oshkosh vehicle driving away very fast and honking like he's trying to warn the people away. I think they're implying that's a rogue National Guard unit, which is itself a nice detail. Also makes sense with why they have the Knights Armament Company, but like the shit tier back stuff, because it's people who would be burying bodies. It reads like it's a group that were National Guard because they have the uniforms, they have the trucks, or at bare minimum, they raided a National Guard armory. But again, you pointed out that there isn't enough writing to like land those details, and it could be that's a rogue unit. It could be they raided an armory. It could be
And also,
this is
all
just
of their
fun set
M4s.
dressing.
Why did their M4s also have 16-inch barrels? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
Was it
straight up.
obvious
We're bored and
weapons?
don't.
Yeah.
It's a legal annoyance rather than actually trying to make something meaningful. Yeah.
Damn, me when it's 16-inch barrel. Oh no, dude, this movie's done. This movie's cooked. Get shit on.
Definitely have to
A24's
say, a
over.
part of the problem for me was seeing so many people whose politics I hard disagree with hating this movie. Very much primed me to be like, you hate this. And I know you're a hateful fuck, so let me try and see why you hate this. So I probably went in with like the exact wrong mindset. Because I was looking for like, you don't like this, why?
No, I mean, I could totally see that,
Yeah.
that urge. I mean, the thing is, I feel like for me to really like break down this movie properly, I would have to watch it more than once, and it's just not good enough for me to want to do that.
That's valid.
Yeah. It's a very it's kind of
very
a road
neat.
it's kind of a road trip movie when you think about it. That's what the genre of this movie is. It's road trip movie.
It reminds me of like Walking Dead, early Walking Dead for some reason.
Yes.
I don't know why, but like just like the idea of like driving, stop for a little shenanigans, and then keep driving.
Scooby Doo.
Everything
Yeah.
is awful. You're constantly under threat, and also nobody knows what to do or what is supposed to be happening, and
Yeah.
it's going to keep
Yeah.
going forward and waiting for the plot to develop.
They make it to a fucking like Christmas Wonderland mansion. And I when I saw it in theaters, I genuinely liked that scene just because the sound design in this movie is fantastic in theaters. I did really enjoy the sound design of this movie, but they see frugal aesthetic with a sniper rifle, and they ask him who he's shooting at. He says, "I don't know. I just spawned in." Who knows? I don't know who I'm fighting, bro. I just dropped off the battle bus. I got this drop. I'm gonna get this Vicroy, bro. And
I mean, that's one part that I will actually defend in the movie. Don't get me wrong. There's a large part of the problem of this movie is its core construction, but at bare minimum, civil wars are messes. They are weird and complex, and especially when you have a lot of different sides, you might have somebody who thinks everyone in that direction is an enemy, and somebody else who is now getting shot at, who, I don't know, they're shooting at us, is like...
I mean, I have a good friend of mine. He served in the YPG in Rojava, in the fight against Daesh and the genocidal Turkish state in Syria. But the Syrian civil war is like the archetype of a messy war, and it would be like, given how he's explained how things like that go down, I would be completely flabbergasted at the notion of two random dudes in ghillie suits sitting on someone's property for Lord knows how long, waiting for them to come out so they can shoot them. Like that is, well, not knowing
mean-
what side they're on and what side the other.
Somebody
that's-
shoots at you, you're hiding, and if they keep shooting at you, you might respond in kind.
Yeah,
but also, like they were laid in like in a sniper position, trying to
That's the point.
snipe.
Yeah.
why do they have ghillie suits? Who walks around in a
They're
ghillie
worried
suit?
about, like, I mean, the guy's whole attitude, they're almost like trying to portray it as like, oh well, this war's been going on so long, we don't even know why we're fighting anymore.
Yeah,
that's
that's
He's
the
trying to
vibe.
kill me, I'm trying to kill him, and that's just how it is. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because
I-
war is
uh,
bad.
there's no context. So this guy is just like laying in a sniper position where it's like, okay, so that guy's trying to kill us. I see covered in concealment. The guy could leave if he wanted to, but instead he's decided
That's
to
a good point, right?
counter.
Yeah,
Just
I love having a fucking ex special forces person to back me up when I say the combat in this movie is dumb.
I mean, I'm
It's-
sorry, I'm not trying to like.
Oh, no,
I'm
the
not trying
combat
to,
in this movie is
anybody
dumb.
here. Just,
I
like,
was
there's
reading
just-
something.
There's
real
just too
quick.
much in this movie that makes no
Joku
sense.
was reading.
Yeah.
This is something that I thought was interesting. To immerse the actors, the production used full blanks for the gunfire as opposed to half or quarter blanks, resulting in discharge as loud as real gunfire.
Wait, so
Well,
they
and
weren't
also,
using
I
ear
would bet-
protection?
Yeah,
I
I
would
guess
bet-
not.
Wait, they
But
weren't
it-
using ear protection.
They were
Yeah,
using
I would
full
bet
blanks and not
reason they
using ear protection.
Wait,
It's really
that's
hard.
like a
I bet the
lawsuit.
reason they used full loudness blanks was just so they didn't have to put blank firing adapters on the guns and edit them out. I bet that's the only.
Probably.
Yeah.
Also, I found that the license plate fell off earlier in the movie, and that in later scenes it was back on. Same with
And
like
the windshield unbroke.
yeah, the
Yeah,
car had
The
had
bulletproof
problems.
windshield that's like not bulletproof and is also like normal glass, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's some basic
Yeah.
construction bits to this movie that it just gets wrong.
Well, you could rearrange the scenes in the movie and like it wouldn't matter outside of the one guy dying.
yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, there's a path that they're taking, but none of the scenes
Yeah,
really.
you could just say
are-
that they're
Right.
somewhere else and it wouldn't
A
make
handful of pieces of dressing. The only thing I can think of is that gas station is definitively a New Jersey gas station, but if you just change the set dressing there, it's such
Yeah.
a tiny detail.
because it's not like the characters change at all.
Yeah. The
Like,
problem is
the-
the characters don't evolve. I see what you're
Yeah,
saying
they
about
act
that.
like Kirsten Dunst is gonna change in that in that suburb in Pittsburgh. Shout out Pittsburgh.
You know, I
Um,
still feel like this whole thing it's just spectacle, and they tried to shoehorn in as many buzzwords from the news as possible. Like,
Antifa
there is
massacre.
no Antifa massacre,
drone
Portland
striking
Dallas,
civilians.
like Charlottesville. There is no tactical fucking advantage to anything about Charlottesville.
yeah, it's just haha. Remember that.
Charlottesville in there, like there's
Yeah.
Charlottesville. That's a place that we know exists because of the past like decade. Like
I thought the
Lord
point of
knows,
Charlottesville
North
was it was
Carolina.
specifically not the front line. He calls out he wants to go to Charlottesville because he's like, that's the safe front line. That's the New York Times' version of the front line. And they're
well,
like,
there's
no,
like,
we're
the
going to
reason
DC.
the only reason they picked Charlottesville is because it was a name that people would recognize and think, oh, there's been like stuff that happened there. You know, like,
It's literally 100 miles from DC. Right?
Dude, this movie is for like r/combat footage users who call Russians orcs. Like that is the primary demographic for this movie. Like
I think
people
even
from
they- but they would be
Wisconsin
pissed
that
off by
have
how wrong
racial
it is.
hatred for Russia. Yeah, except that's the like target demographic. Even if it doesn't hit that demographic, I feel like yeah, that's who this movie's made
It's like
for.
trying to convince them they don't want what they think they want, but they're never going to sit down and actually unpack any of the useful bits from this movie. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that the
it's like
useful
this
bits.
movie could have a point, but just decided to sail past it like ships. in
Yeah,
the-
there are good war bad movies. I mean, we've talked about All Quiet on the Western Front, and that was a better movie with the message of war is hell, made in 1930.
I don't
That
think
had
it's
more-
a generic war as
It's
hell.
no longer relevant to a modern audience.
Dude,
More
that's so-
importantly, it's
They've
like
remade
that
it like
is
2 times.
Trench warfare
True, get
versus
woke.
like cities in combat is a thing. I understand wanting to make a somewhat modern version, but yeah, I also see why everybody's saying this fails so hard at like the people who would come for the spectacle are going to think everything is a problem because it's all really bad. The people who would come to unpack it are going to see the spectacle and go, there's not enough here for me to unpack.
The people who come for a character drama are going to come here and say, the characters aren't great. The people who come here
I'm a photo nerd, and there's enough photo nerd bits in
this
that my brain is
you explained the intentional overexposure with Kirsten's shots, and I thought that was cool. Right. I thought that was cool. Except it doesn't. It's not a good character drama. It's not a good political commentary. It's not a good action film. It's not a good.
It's a cool detail
history.
Have picked up on if you hadn't said something about it.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I do appreciate it because it's an A24 film. Of course, there could be technical aspects I like. Like, I think the sound design in this movie is incredible. I think the shot composition in a lot of this movie is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. The way that they do a lot of the mise-en-scène and a lot of their understanding of like moving action through the frame. There's a lot of little bits that I could point to as somebody who loves cinema and go, oh, that was a nice little bit, but there's not enough of them to hold.
Yeah.
Like,
but again, it's all spectacle with no real substance to the point where if you watch this entire movie on mute, you would have the exact same read of it.
Like, Call of Duty cutscenes might have good shot composition. That doesn't mean I'm gonna be like.
I mean, it's well shot war footage, and imagine if war was in the United States.
And
a really good soundtrack too, which makes cutting the music an interesting point.
The cutting the music was kind of generic, but
there's a couple music choices I really appreciated.
I like the funky ass boom bap track.
Yes.
Well, they shoot American KKK and soldiers.
Yeah, like attempting to just move on and like no, get back to it. Just it being a like you have adrenaline, but also you need to have a normal day, and having it be the like it is a hip hop song, but it's a hip hop song about your home being a war zone. It felt like a very like there was an intelligent choice made there. Do you hear what you're saying? That the fucking music video of him dying, having watched it with people who don't like this movie, was a good experience for me, because realizing, oh, this isn't a good send-off. This is watching a character you should be helping slowly die as a music video.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that's where again, like I just get bogged down, I guess, because of my own experience. It's like I hate watching action movies and war movies and shit because of like the little details that just don't make sense, and in this one, like just literally nothing made sense. Nothing.
Yeah, and it's like trying to be deep and profound.
Made sense. There was no context for anything. It was just I don't know. It was a mess. It was just a mess.
Yeah.
There's one world building detail that I almost was hesitant to point out when I was still trying to low-key argue for this movie. Yeah. She points out there's no longer any cell signals. She says you can't connect, her phone can't connect, but she still needs it to look at the negatives. That's based on a misunderstanding of how cell networks work, that like if the government gets shut down, we would lose all of that. No, that hasn't worked that way in about a decade at least. A lot of that has been either duplicated or we have private versions of that would come up very quickly. So like that is based off of an attempt to warn about how bad things would be rather than an actual understanding of the pain.
There's internet access in Kyiv.
Right, exactly.
And that's far more of a war zone. I guess DC is like the only like huge war zone that we see in this movie.
They're at a humanitarian camp when she says that, which like they would have a fucking router.
Yeah, they would have internet there. We gotta talk about the end of this movie.
Do we?
Their goal is like I don't know. Their goal is so their goal is to go and interview the president and take his picture, which I don't know, it just makes this film sound like it was written by my like journalism professor, you know?
Real
Don't
quick,
kill the president yet. I need a quote.
Yeah, they
Alana,
go.
That'll do.
I'd love to hear your perspective on the line. They treat journalists like enemy combatants.
I mean, I would tend to agree with that to an extent, from like some of the protests that I've been at, because people that were actual journalists would be treated just like protesters. Cops would fucking hit them with batons or football tackle them or arrest them or shoot riot control rounds at them. But also, there's still like sort of a self-important smugness to it, because most of the time, the thing is, journalism, like journalism is important, but it does not hold the place in society that it held before. Like now, it is very much like, I'm also coming from the perspective of seeing a dozen fucking journalists all fucking zoomed in on a piece of burning trash in the middle of the street in Portland, trying to make it seem like there were riots.
Yeah.
It's literally just protests happened, cops declared it a riot and started beating on everybody. Literally no one ever fought back. Like, it's just, journalists do have a place, but most journalism now is just fucking propaganda outlets for corporations. So
Yeah, which is weird because Reuters and the New York Times are portrayed as like not being involved with the government when they have direct communication with the FBI. This isn't a conspiracy.
Right.
Articles are directly vetted by the FBI for approval before publishing in regards to certain topics. So it's just it takes a very neoliberal attitude towards a very like CNN watcher, NPR listener type attitude towards journalism, because like how it just came out that that Trump was is like a known pedophile and from an Epstein case. It's like that news story broke. What difference has that made for anything? None. It's a very self-important movie about journalism in a way that in the modern climate, when it's trying to act as commentary, it kind of falls flat.
You can make a very definitive argument that style of journalism, in an era where everyone has a cell phone, has become significantly less of a like.
Wait, yeah, war journalism. There isn't. Though, like, but I think that war journalism is very important. But war journalism is very much so shifted. Like most war journalists in Gaza are young men and women who were forced into that position, who have a cell phone connection.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of a war where you live and you have a cell phone, congratulations, you're a war journalist. Like,
right,
yeah.
Right,
and like that's not to minimize it. Like, I'd venture to say that the people in Gaza who are standing up to the IDF through exposing the genocide that's going on there are as much heroes as the fighters of the PFLP and DFLP. But I think that this movie could have been a lot more interesting if you cut out Kirsten Dunst's character and made it about Jesse like being forced to become a war journalist. I think that would be a much more interesting movie.
Especially try to have it both ways, because the point of the movie is Lee's death is not noble, but also that is the big climax and kind of punch of the movie. No,
their death is portrayed as noble. There's Christ-like imagery, and she literally dies saving a child.
I thought the whole point of the movie is she's transferring her trauma to Jesse, and it ends with her dying and kind of fully passing on the disease is the way I read that.
She's not passing on the disease, she's passing the torch of journalism.
Dude, no, and here's the thing. She
hate
said
this movie so much more thinking about it.
She said early on in the movie that she would just take a picture of her being shot. And the point is that she died saving her, meaning that she changed and is like doing Christ-like self-sacrifice. It's not about like handing off
Doing
a-
unnecessary Christ-like self-sacrifice.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I read this a bit differently, entirely in the sense that I didn't think it was portraying the main characters as good or the fighting as positive. Hearing that description, I can totally see why people would dislike this movie so much, because in that air, yeah, she's like the hero that needed to die for the story to work, when the whole point is, no, you killed your hero doing something maybe you didn't need to do. We didn't need photos of like the people that when they were shooting at each other, you could come in afterwards.
Yeah.
Photo of the body would be just as important as the photo of it dying. Like the idea of you capturing that one moment is not.
And it was
hate
very
this so much
unlike
more
it was
hearing that as
very
the
unlike
interpretation.
Jesse's character to go out into a hallway with secrets in the White House with Secret Service agents charging her with rifles.
They do show her do it like straight up ignoring her own safety.
Except
Like,
I think that
I think I know who this movie is for.
who
Anderson Cooper and no one else.
True.
oh my god,
Dude,
that's so
this
right.
movie is for it's for the people behind 60 Minutes.
Yeah, this is Anderson Cooper's personal like fantasy
Anderson
role
Cooper
play.
works for CNN. I don't think Anderson Cooper does 60 Minutes.
He does 60 Minutes, bro.
I
You don't know about Havana syndrome? He's the one that discovered it. Wait, he fucked a gay man and he caught.
Cool.
He's the one that's gay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the one that hosts the New York
Yeah,
what is it?
Met Gala.
No, not Met Gala. New York fucking New Year's Eve party.
Is Ryan Seacrest.
No. He does it on CNN.
Oh. I watch Ryan Seacrest. And they make it into the Oval Office, and the president is dragged from under the desk, and they before they kill him, Joel asks him, I need a quote, and then the person says, "Tell them not to kill me," and then they shoot him, and then I was really hoping that like "Killing in the Name" would start playing.
No, he says after that, that's the perfect quote or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
so
Yeah. My bad.
smug too, because you can tell the writers of the movie think they did something there. They really think, oh yeah, we showed how little this guy was. You've been showing that the whole fucking
Yeah.
movie.
They literally open up with him like doing a haha isn't Drumpf dumb type thing where it's like,
Right.
we won bigly. It's the biggest win in the history of conflict.
And the bomb
People
goes off
have-
right out the window.
Many people tell me.
The problem is they portray everyone in the movie as being small. Like no one has any real ambitions. No one has any lofty goals. It's all just everyone
Wait a
is
minute.
no one is worth
Wait a
anything.
minute. Maybe the real lore behind this movie is that there was lead in the American water supply, and everyone in this movie is like has severe mental problems, and is like incapable of thought behind that of a third grader. And that's why they don't know why they're fighting, because it's like third graders in the field, and they forget. The aunt like tell me why. I don't know, he isn't like me. And that's the whole movie. Yeah,
I legitimately, maybe this is just from an experience of like having worked at HBO and worked at like seeing movies in their parts and seeing the componentry for far too fucking long, but I can see a couple really, really cool pieces. And I'm really glad I watched it in this format with people being like, no, don't miss the shit for the trees, you're fine.
yeah. Because, like, I agree with you. There are, like, small moments in the script where it's neat, except, though, it's like a video game, right? Why would I care about the tiny little collectibles with lore in your game if the main plot isn't interesting?
When you're gonna have to run around and find all of the little pieces of
Yeah,
lore,
it's
if
like-
it's not a fun place to run, you've made a bad thing, right?
Yeah, it would, like
Works
games
in a
like
From
that-
Software game, doesn't work in a movie.
and it's like they're a alt history American Civil War thing is just That's a good premise. I like alt history. It's just like you have to understand politics to do alt history, and alt history is incredibly political. You can't make an apolitical alt history piece about the American Civil War.
That's a great
Especially given the
I
mind.
feel like that's why alt history works better in literature than in film, because in literature you can get a lot more context for what's going on. Whereas in a film, especially this one is a great example. They just do like these little tidbits to like insinuate that there has been some world building, but they don't give you enough to put any of it together.
Do you think this would have been like better as like a TV show if like each stop was like explored more?
Yes, I think this could have been a great TV show.
Character development for any of the characters at all.
Right.
I think that would improve it.
Yeah. Dude, you should be the president of A24, Joku.
Do you know Alex Garland has a TV show?
Which TV show?
It's called Devs. It's on Hulu.
I know Alex Garland just said he's never making another movie after this, which...
It's got a lot of the same actors.
Yeah.
Damn, I think he should give up. I think he should give up. Fuck you, buddy. Make better movies, dog. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You haven't watched any others except like except Ex Machina, and you said you watched that a while ago.
Dude, let me talk my shit, man.
Go watch the other movies and then come back.
And then come back. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying that this movie was bad.
The one bit I had to look this up while we were watching it. All United Ukrainian forces are fighting under one flag at this point. So the fact that you have under that flag includes Azov Battalion and the Donetsk People's Planning Party Committee, which
well, that's not comparable to Florida. I mean, Texas and California teaming up in secession.
That's
anarchists. Like, of course, the anarchists and the Nazis are going to have to team up out of the material conditions of Ukraine fighting for national self-liberation. The same way that Angolan, Muslim fundamentalists teamed up with Marxist-Leninists in the Angolan fight for national self-liberation. That's how national self-liberation struggle.
Right. But my point being, them having a shared flag doesn't inherently mean they're in the same country or even viewing themselves as the same. That is, this is our fighting force. Just we have a flag so that if we're in the field, you can look over and see, okay, those are Western forces.
No, except
they even call out, it's the rush to Berlin. They're going to turn on each other as soon as they get to DC.
In reference to the Western forces being aligned, but Florida and the Portland Maoists not being part of that.
Right. They do call out that Florida is just as...
Because if they if it was like a united front type situation, Florida and the Portland Maoists would be part of that. Which makes me wonder, what if they were aligned? What would their national anthem sound like? Which brings us to
also just imagine Florida and Texas teaming up way before Texas and California.
Especially considering there is a Florida alliance.
Yeah, okay, I'm doing my segue. What would it sound like if the Portland Maoists teamed up with California, Texas, and Florida? What would their national anthem sound like? Well, I made it.
Well, while Rosa does that, what was your guys' favorite parts of the movie?
If I had to pick one... I'm not sure if I would call this as a favorite part, but I'm a massive firearms nerd, and you can kind of date the movie by what guns are where. Because the SIG contract hasn't been distributed yet, which means this is likely 2033. Or likely 2028, 2029. Fun fact, for anybody who's not a massive firearms nerd, SIG has picked up the new military contract for the standard long arm for the U.S. military. That should see wide distribution by 2030. So the fact that everyone is still using M4s, So
And they're switching off of 5.56, which is so
yes. So they are
Which is so
switching
dumb.
out from 5.56 to they're kind of going back to the old battle rifle philosophy, where it is 20 rounds of significantly harder hitting 277 Fury.
Why not switch to 308?
Because SIG doesn't own the rights to 308.
I hate copyright law. Anyway,
It's also
Listen
a
to-
thing that the bigger cartridge is designed to punch through body armor, which doesn't make sense if you're applying the US military to a lot of foreign forces that aren't using those, but does make sense when you're applying the US military to the commonly available plates that the US people have access to. It's just a weird detail worth pointing out that like the guns they use in the movie or the guns that the US Army is going to be switching to are likely there because they want to target US resistance forces rather than like that's
they
a
want to
thought
get the
for foreign
Portland
conflict.
Maoists. They're going to show those Portland Maoists.
What about China?
True. Okay, here's what their anthem would sound like. Composed and arranged by me.
You should have put Jingle Bells in there for that one sniper on the farm.
Oh,
Seriously.
true. True.
Answer your question from earlier. Favorite part of the movie would be the fire, weirdly, because it's a thing that doesn't get brought up a lot, but most ordinances actually will light things on fire. And if you're not walking around with a fire extinguisher, things accidentally being on fire is far more common than I think most people would account for.
Yeah.
When they have the guy in the car and they're driving through the big
So when they have the
wildfire.
guy in the car and it's just randomly on fire in the background, and then there's a lot of just scenes in the movie where they have really beautiful fire effects in the background, which one, the effects are really well done, and two, it's a detail I feel like gets skipped over when a lot of people are thinking about any sort of like when you're thinking about these sorts of things, you think about them as like a contained thing and not realizing the smoke will last for weeks. Fires will burn down things completely unrelated to where the fighting was, just because if you're not focusing on it, it will go on its own. And I love that detail.
Yeah. Alana?
What, my favorite part of the movie?
Yeah.
You know I'm going to be flippant and just say the credits.
When it ended, what's your Eleanor? What's your favorite subject in school? Recess, lunch, and when the bell rings.
I'm sorry, but
Anarchist.
no secret of my feelings on this just being an awful movie in every respect.
True.
I'm sorry. I do not have a favorite part.
I think that Jesse Plemons his scene was great. I liked it. It was the best part of the movie.
I would agree, but it also has a lot of flaws within that scene. I think.
Yeah, because we're supposed to be emotionally invested in two characters that we literally just met.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they were
I
literally they literally brought those characters in just to get shot 5 minutes.
So-
Except I do really find it very funny that Jesse Plemons says to a guy from Hong Kong that Hong Kong is part of China and then shoots him. That is just that's mildly. That's
both of them are
mildly
at the hotel in New York, and they're both at the protest scene. Bohai is the one that she gets the press, the fluorescent from. Bohai hands it to her at the beginning of that scene.
Okay, so they
They
have an
meet
Easter
in New
egg.
York, then they separate for pretty much all of the movie, and then it's also
They have,
I mean,
the
like,
thing
they
is
have
that
like
they have
two
a
speaking
combined
lines.
total of like 10 minutes of screen time tops.
yeah, that like you saw as like the only reason I know they're there is when you watch it like a third or fourth time, you'll be like, oh, that's fucking
Also,
Tony.
and they insinuate the first guy that dies is like kind of a rapist. Also,
Right.
so it's like.
Also implying
so we
that-
meet this character. The movie implies that he's a sexual predator of some kind, and then we see him get shot for being Chinese.
And Joel, they call out that scene where he's like, I'll stay up with you if you're scared, is so much fucking creepier in the
Oh,
context
yeah.
of later on.
Let's see.
He calls out that she was getting hit on by him at the bar. Like, really
And
stay
that's-
up with her for
that's
innocent
more-
reasons.
That's more of the kind of empty spectacle of this movie too, is like they never actually put in anything with sexual violence, but it's constantly like sort of
Hinted at.
sidled up to. Even the fucking guy at the gas station, he's constantly looking her up and down before
Right.
follows it, even while Lee follows him. Like he's constantly looking up and down, and they're like they're zoomed in on like watching him look up and down her backside.
Yeah, it's like the pizza cutter of movies. It's all edge, no point. I make it a pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see if they had. I honestly think your TV idea makes a lot more sense because there are a few
I agree.
interesting ideas stretched way too fucking thin with no connective tissue.
I think that you could do more of like what this movie wanted to do with the like Easter egg world building in a TV show and make it work. I think that you could have let these characters breathe and develop in a believable way.
Something that has supposed to be like an Easter egg focus. They don't have a main development that is the thing you're watching along the Easter eggs. It's only Easter eggs. It's the Oops All Marshmallows version of a movie.
Yeah, I would be fine.
Also,
I'd be fine with. You can go.
I was gonna say, and also like the war itself, the actual combat, like takes up so much space in the movie, and that's another big failure simply by virtue of the fact that like they clearly didn't have like any kind of consultants for this to make any of it make sense.
I can't remember who called out that any alternative history is going to be political.
Yeah.
You can kind of see they wanted to be like, oh, our focus isn't on the politics, it's on the journalism, but you can't do that if you're using real places. And like, what is the point of both having it in America and not use American politics?
I think it wanted to be a character drama, except there's no drama and the characters don't change.
I think that it wanted to focus more on like photography.
They forgot to have Jesse
like,
change.
That
I think it was a
aspect.
cash grab. It was a cash grab. This is something people are anxious about. Let's make a movie about it and see if it makes any money.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't get that energy from A24. And
Yeah,
this is
that
the most
was-
expensive
usually.
A24 film that they have.
I mean, I'm a big fan of A24 films in general, but this one just did not hit for me at all.
I liked it the first few times that I saw it, but I'm also very susceptible to hype, and I'm very susceptible to. I see the pieces rather than the whole because I've spent too much time building holes out of pieces. So I've like broken my brain to look past holes.
I'm
Unfortunately.
really worried that you made like a Pepe Salvia
Oh God.
board for this podcast. You're like, and now from the string, you can see that the SIG contract hasn't come in, which means we're in 2029. Dude, like, you need to take Matt Pat's place. You're kind of cooking. You're kind of cooking with the film theory, bro.
I'm a massive fucking nerd, and this hits. I'm a movie person who has worked with like HBO and a couple other places doing movie making stuff. So a lot of my focus has been on how do you assemble an effect, how do you assemble an edit, and some of the like film construction bits, I can look at this and be like, ooh, that was an interesting way to do that. I love the fact that they use cameras as like a character piece, that like her camera
is pretty good looking.
Yeah, and like having her camera auto advancing be part of the thing that is hooking her into the trauma of like she has this camera set up, and that's the reason she captures the worst moment of her life of her hero dying, and it doesn't even faze her. She moves on to grabbing the next shot.
Yeah.
There's bits of like they're using cameras to tell a story that my nerd side appreciated, but seeing it with people who are just seeing the fucking movie, it is so much worse than its pieces. And it's much worse.
It's sort of like Love Lies Bleeding, which we talked about in another A24 film that fell completely flat. Where there are technical aspects of it that are very pretty, technical aspects are very impressive, except it falls flat when you don't have a good script.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the definition of having an idea for a synopsis and not like refining it down to a story, but assuming that like brief synopsis you first came up with is gold.
Yeah. I think with that we'll move into scoring. Joku. Wait, actually, I'm curious. Alana, out of 10, what would you give this movie?
I'm going to try to be generous and say 3. There were some nice visuals, but I still feel like it was so weak overall. It was a series of nice visuals. That's what the movie was.
Queer Armor, what do you think?
Before having seen it with everybody, while I was still like obsessed with the hype, I would have given it a much higher score. I'd say having watched it with a better sense of space, I'd say 5.5, 6. I'd say between 5.5 and 6 out of 10, because I can still see.
Damn,
there
that
are
was
some
so
ideas.
Much lower than I expected.
I still maintain there are somebody was having a series of good ideas which they handed to a much worse script writer. There's some nuggets in here of like how to tell a story about a photojournalist who is coming to terms with the fact that their work not only has it not been beneficial for society, it's been slowly ruining their life, and trauma has been like their defining personality note, and how they can't move past that.
Yeah,
they didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I think that there's a universe in which this was a good character drama.
Yeah, honestly, having heard the descriptions that I had watched it thinking it's a movie about being around war without being a war movie. It's worth pointing out, why the fuck did you show so much war if this movie it's supposed to be around it rather than about it? Like,
yeah,
they focus on the violence rather than the whole point was supposed to be you're focusing on these people who are dealing with their own interpersonal trauma, and you show almost none of that. Like, a few frames is the entire movie rather than like Alana said, there's a lot of spectacle, and it thinks it's making a really intelligent point about how photojournalists focus on the spectacle, but it doesn't actually go out of its way to land the point that it's trying to make, and it ends up just being pretentious nonsense as a result.
Yeah, there's a universe in which this is a good movie, except we don't live in that one. Joku, out of our patented 15-point scale, what would you give it?
I'd give it 8.5.
I'm giving this movie a solid 7, which puts this movie at 15.5 out of 30 on the cum chart. Let me look at where that would put it on the cum chart. I think it puts it just below Love Lies Bleeding, just above Love Lies Bleeding.
On a combined scale of out of 2 people rating it on a scale of 10 and 2 people rating on a scale of 15, this comes up. Yeah, I'm.
It would be so it's 15.5 out of 30 for the official ranking. Except if we add you two, it becomes it would be
Out of
21,
50.
21. It would be 24 out of 50. Yeah.
Just below half. That. Okay.
Yeah, well, which is funny because our ranking is just so slightly above half. Above average. I think it's a very average film, but it's average in a very bold and interesting way. You know?
I have to say I am really glad for this watching experience because I am horribly susceptible to hype when it comes to really well done visuals. My brain will see something that is crafted well and go, okay, so it must be good. It was made well. When like, no, it can have good parts and be shit. Like, it can be well made poop.
And I mean that, like we had not like the other A24 film we reviewed this year, Love Lies Bleeding, and it was similar in the sense that it had a ton of competent parts about it, but it was weak in the writing department in a way that didn't allow the more competent parts to shine. Which is disappointing. It's a very disappointing film because I did want to like this movie. I genuinely did want to like this movie. But turns out that I didn't. Final thoughts, Joku?
I don't have anything to say.
You have nothing to say to this mess.
It's very average. That's all I can say really. It's just an average little thing.
Okay.
And I don't think it's Alex's best work. And that's about it.
That's about it. See we will now move on to the interview section of the podcast. Welcome to the interview directed by Seth Rogen. It's me, Seth Rogen.
I've got a hard out in 25 minutes.
Okay, we'll interview you first. So you were the first trans woman to win a professional MMA fight. How has that affected your life?
That is not true. Fallon Fox was before me.
I thought you were the first to win.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Damn, my research sucked, dude. The article I read was ass, dog. Damn.
What article did you read?
Some shitty article. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. You're the second trans woman to ever win.
Secondly trans MMA fighter. I have heard rumors that there is at least one other woman who is stealth, but I can't confirm that.
Yeah. How's that affected your life?
It's made me bitter in my old age, I think. I mean, honestly, like, I was really hoping to get more than one fight. Like, literally, my only goal was to, like, kind of try to advance trans rights in a way that didn't involve me going to prison, and otherwise just maybe have, like, a couple more fights than Fallon got. But no, it's very likely that I will only have the one fight because of the current fucking shitty ass political climate around and moral panic around trans people. So,
which means that you might end up being undefeated, which is awesome.
Yeah, undefeated.
Many people are calling you the Andrew Tate of trans people. How do you respond to that?
Who is saying that?
Nobody. no one said that.
Fucking chinless fucking not compared.
Many people are calling you the Andrew Tate of MMA. How do you respond to that?
Good. With violence.
With violence, okay.
With great violence.
What the fuck is it? Is it like day of an MMA fight? Like what's the schedule like?
Day of's actually relatively relaxed because I mean you figure in the time leading up to the fight you've got weigh-ins the day before, and then you're actually doing your weight cut and everything and doing photo ops and all that shit. That's all day of the fight. Pretty much just rehydrating and eating.
Does anyone ever hang out with like the person that they're fighting?
Not exactly. That's pretty strongly discouraged. Actually thought my opponent Celine was really cool and I wanted to like hang out with her, but Campbell, the CEO of Combate, was constantly reminding me that, you know, I was not there to be her friend. That said, I would love to be her friend, you know. And
even if they're French.
we did have a nice discussion over breakfast the next day.
Oh, that's actually dude, that's insane to me that you could like, didn't you like break their jaw?
Yeah, but
No, like what the fuck? No, she's like, Vivi, I know that you broke my jaw, but you are very nice. You are very nice, Vivi.
It's a sporting event, okay? Injuries happen in sporting events. Like, this was, like, I've been in a lot of fights, and, like, on a technical level, skill-wise, like, yeah, this was, like, one of the harder fights I've ever been in, because I fought someone skilled, but it was still a sporting event. Like, gonna die there. There were referees, there were doctors, you know, like, it was a sporting event. Whereas, like, you know, if I'm beating the shit out of some Nazi in the street in Portland, that's a different fucking vibe, you know?
Yeah. So, I the most important question that I had for you, is how many of me could you beat in a fight? For context, I am 5'8", 135 pounds, and an amputee. So, how many of me do you think it would take to take you down? We're all coming at you in once in a arena.
Like a zombies map.
Are you psychically linked? Are you able to communicate nonverbally?
We're able to like work together.
Do you have weapons or armor?
We don't have weapons. We're all naked. We're all naked. We're all naked. And half of us are bald.
Do I have an obligation to engage, or can I just like run around in circles and run out the clock?
I might get down all fours and come at you like a horror movie character if you try that. So you should engage.
I was a cross-country runner on scholarship in college. I don't think you will catch me.
I'm an Adderall addict, so you don't want to get that chance, buddy. Okay, how many of me could you take down in an arena?
Is there a time limit?
As much time as you like.
Until I eventually starve to death, I guess. I don't know.
Until you like exhaust.
Start eating the corpses.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Like I'll eventually become the soul of Cinder, like ruling over a damned world or something.
So you could beat 100 of me in a fight.
Yeah.
If we all came at you at once, you wouldn't get overwhelmed.
I mean, if you started off surrounding me, you would win. But if I'm not completely surrounded by you, I think I can.
How many orphans could you beat in a fight?
Jesus.
Are these adult orphans?
Orphans is like
no,
a very
not.
strong, like it's a very big range.
They're all 8 years old.
But
they have knives. They have knives, dude.
How big are the knives?
They're like let's say like the knives are like this size, like size of my pocket knife, like that big, this big.
I don't think you understand that I have these incredibly dense bones that make me invincible.
They're considered lethal weapons in 4
I am immune to all forms of physical damage, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Especially if the orphans would eventually grow up to be real Woombin. I cannot be defeated.
Okay.
I have one.
Last question.
I have a question.
Okay.
What's your favorite FromSoft game?
I mean, I don't know if this will be a hot take or not, but I'm gonna say Elden Ring, just because because it's the one I've played the most. Like I played Dark Souls, I
Yeah.
played a little bit of Dark Souls 3, I think, and that's really the only ones I've touched. And I do like the open world bit.
Yeah.
I like being able to do some problem solving and not. I feel like a lot of FromSoft game players pride themselves on being like, oh yeah, I did it the hard way, but I like being able to stand on a cliff and snipe somebody with a bow, even if it takes 100 fucking arrows.
Have
Like
you played the DLC yet?
things that make more logical sense.
Have you played the DLC yet?
Not yet. I haven't bought it yet.
Oh, interesting.
My
I
last
will eventually, but I'm sitting in an 80-year-old house that needs repairs.
Yeah.
hell yeah. My last question: what was it like being in a army battalion with all mentally impaired people?
Ugh. It's hard to describe that. It's
Yeah.
hard to describe that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe I made a special forces joke. I'm so
Yeah. No,
uncooked,
I
bro.
just I neglected to take the bait.
Yeah, like, I'm
The hook was in the other end of the worm. I'm just
yeah. Yeah, my comedy career's over. I'm circling the drain, man.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I have a very inflated ego.
You've experienced so many ego deaths in your lifetime.
I'm like call my ass inside out to penalty box the way I experienced 4 ego deaths in the matter of 30 seconds. I do just want to say that I didn't even finish my joke. I actually wrote out a full joke for this bit. This is Rosa, I think. And I was gonna say that the special forces were started by Donald Rumsfeld, like Down like Down syndrome. Except it bombed. It bombed. And I wasn't able to do that, and that's probably my biggest regret. Back to the show.
And so modest.
And so modest. It's true.
In fact,
That's a
the
very
most modest.
specific reference that you made to the movie, and like we watched that, and like I barely got it.
Okay. Do you want me to explain it?
No, I got it.
Okay, you barely got it.
Yeah, no, it took me like a second. It's like such a
No,
random.
it was a callback because
Yeah,
I made
it's
that
a
joke
callback.
in the episode, and our loyal listeners, our loyal fans, worship every word I say, and they'll run it back in their book of quotations from me, and they'll be like, "Oh yes, this is a callback. This is a callback. It all makes sense."
That's what I'm saying by Rosa is an egoist.
That you're using that word incorrectly.
Okay.
I think it's egotist, not egoist.
Words are not my strong suit.
I'm
but-
not a big fan of Sterner. I'm a big fan of me. Yeah, well, thank you for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you, pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
having me on.
It
Yeah.
was really fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We should do it again sometime with an actually good movie.
True.
Ew.
I'm very game.
and- yeah. I'd love to have you on again. Maybe we could watch like Rocky or something.
Watch
That'd
Come
be
and
fun.
See, a better war movie.
Make the vet just watch war movies.
yeah.
yeah, and then we'll set off fireworks in her backyard. yeah, real nice one, buddy.
Yep.
we're
Gonna be
making
great.
we're making good connections out here.
Yeah, true.
True. Yeah, pleasure having you on. We'd be happy to have you on any other time. Now you,
You.
queer armorer, the one who I'm very indebted to and is a lovely human being and helped put this all together and is great and is awesome and is great. And I really like that you were vocal about your dissent throughout it. I think that we had good Socratic type dialogue.
I still maintain it's not a terrible idea. It's just there's pieces of this that somebody had a good idea for that they should have handed to somebody else instead of try to make this their own movie. there's a handful. There's a genuinely interesting idea of like using the spectacle to make the point that people get distracted by the spectacle and don't focus on the actual intent of the war. I wish they'd made that movie.
Yeah.
Like, that idea is interesting, but all they did was, like Lana pointed out, was this is spectacle, and they don't have enough depth to really argue that the point they're trying to make is you're distracted by it. They got distracted by it themselves.
True. Now, my question for you is, why do they call him Garand Thumb when he doesn't fire a Garand and his thumb's fine? That's my question for you.
Oh god. So there was a video, one of the first he posted, of Garand Thumb getting Garand Thumb, which is where the fucking
never mind. He's awesome. I should have had him on the podcast instead. He seems like a real.
You really
stand-up
shouldn't
guy.
have.
Yeah, he seems like a nice dude. Elena's shaking their head.
Yeah, he's a transphobic piece of shit, unfortunately.
Yeah, true.
He regularly talks
Fuck his
about
ass.
Isn't he
how
like a
thinks
hardcore
minorities
roadie
and
boo
people-
too?
He
The
pals
people
around
he films
with them.
with are, so it's one of those, it doesn't matter if you're not, the people you think are fine are.
Yeah, when I first I was a big Vosh watcher at the time, and he was talking about the need to like arm yourself. So I started watching Tactical GF, some of your videos, and then I stumbled across Garand Thumb, and it sucks. He sucks, dude. It's like he could have a giant audience if he didn't like lead in every video with being transphobic. It's
the
so
problem is
weird.
he has a giant audience by doing that.
Damn.
I would love to sit here and be like, you're right, he would have a bigger audience if he didn't do that. That's unfortunately not the reality. A big part of his audience comes to him because they reaffirm the hate they already have. Because he says the hateful bullshit they're already thinking is normal and just is a sign you're a decent person, rather than challenging any of it. However much I genuinely wish I could agree with you that like transphobia is inherently not profitable. There's parts of this country where you can make that is its own grip. That is its own money making.
I was gonna say I know of way too many people that have made entire fortunes off of being trans, and I don't know a single trans person who has made a fortune off of being trans.
Oh, I'm getting Soros payroll for this.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, dude.
Oh, my
I'm,
fucking checks.
I'm gonna forward my checks. I've never gotten one of those, and I need it.
What the fuck? Well, I'm Jewish. Like, you guys don't get them, but like
I'm Jewish.
Oh, I'll call HQ. There's been. I'm sorry, man. There's been a mix-up. Not for you, lady.
Get a hold of
lady
payroll. They'll handle it.
But
out.
yeah, I'll get a roll with the Jews that control the world, and we'll talk it out. Cool guys. Out in Brooklyn. It's just a chill group of old grandpas. They play Yahtzee. I love them. Love them to death.
I'm not gonna lie, there's
guys.
part of me that's worried you are like the out of context quote generator, because there's clips from this that are just like nightmares out of the wrong context.
Dude, you have no idea how bad I've done problematic Elmer Fudd impressions on this show. It's like Come Town, but we talk about movies. It's like we're fucked. I mean, if you take any comedian out of context, they sound like a. I mean, look at what they did to R. Kelly.
Oh, Jesus fuck. I'm not responding to that. Bringing
See?
it back to what you were saying before.
Bang bang.
Part of the reason I started my channel is straight up because of Garand Thumb.
Yeah,
I used to share a bunch of his videos. I when I was trying to get as many, like 4 or 5 years ago, before I even started my channel, and I was back at the point where, all right, I'm at a stable place. I'm fine to start like getting myself ready. I see how bad the community is in need of like a decentralized form of its own protection, and how there's a lot of people in my community that have been actively lied to about what self-defense means, and like who should, whether you can trust the cops, what you do in the event of an emergency, kind of stuff. I start trying to help people get as effectively armed as they can. One of the videos that to this day I wish I could share more, but unfortunately he starts it with hateful queer bashing. a lot of my audience is beginners and people who are just starting out. And a common question is, well, there's this gun that is fairly cheap that I think I can afford. Should I get it? Garand has a video of him exploding a high point. It's a great example of it's cheap for a reason. Don't trust your life to this. And there's other stuff that you can even get relatively cheaply. But I kept sharing that video and having people respond back with, "You hate trans people?" When no, I don't. But
new transformative content just to cut off his part at the beginning doing that, and then
wait, I'm gonna make a new YouTube channel. I'm gonna call it It Thumb, and I'm going to just take his videos and be like, "Hey everybody, It Thumb here. What's up, non-boneries and moids? Today we're going to be talking about my gay sex gun. I'm It Thumb and I suck cock."
A lot of the early videos that I did were straight up looking at Garand Thumb's stuff and trying to do Thumb, basically trying to do the queer version of that. But the problem always ends up being he has $100,000 worth of rifles that he can just do a mud test on that I don't have access to that shit. A lot of us, even if we have the knowledge, don't have access to the pile of money that he does to be able to film some of his content. It is genuinely a problem that we can't one-to-one replace some of that shit.
But with that said, we all here agree that firearms, firearm. Gavalt, I got a notification and it screwed up my flow. Firearms education is very important for queer folks. We all here agree with that, but some people in our audience, we're a pretty big tent podcast. We attract left wingers of all sorts, and they might think why would we support guns? Don't guns kill people? Would you like to explain why the importance of community defense, arming yourself, and especially in a queer context?
So Stonewall was an anti-police riot where the police would come and arrest us for existing, and eventually when one woman was being dragged into the paddy wagon in front of a bunch of drag queens, and she screamed out, "Why aren't you doing something?" He threw bricks and did something, pulled her out of the van, and that was the start of the queer rights movement. The idea that queer people can just trust the police in the event of violence, even in a perfect situation where the police would be the ones who could provide defense, they might then afterwards be debating, is your existence on its own a violation of our cultural or social law? Then on top of that, around me, the police have a response time of about 8 to 10 minutes. Guns are a thing you need in emergency situations when seconds matter, and the cops are minutes away.
Oh, and most of the time the cops show up and all they do is write up a report about what happened.
Right.
They shoot
100%.
your dog, and then they fuck your woman, and then you say, "You dastardly devils, you."
A lot of the gun control acts that get pushed, the thing that actually happens from them is they're used to disarm a lot of people who would be doing community defense, who would be protecting neighbors or just happen to be an activist that the police don't like. And it specifically doesn't target their friends. It doesn't target the hood-wearing assholes that they get beers with after the job. It doesn't disarm the people who hate us, and it does disarm us in a lot of cases.
And it's like when Donald Trump wins the election, do we want Proud Boys, where are those, Patriot Front, do we want those to be the only armed people in cities and in left-wing areas? And when they roll up, do we want them to think, oh, we're the only armed people here and we can command this space should this happen?
We've had drag shows recently where we've had to have volunteers there, in plain clothing, not looking like you're a problem. But when the other side is showing up with long arms and plate carriers screaming about killing all of you, you can't just respond with harsh words. You might need to be able to stop the threat. I'm not somebody who wants to ever advocate for most forms of open carry. I think communities are the kind of thing that people see guns and the temperature gets raised. It doesn't matter if they're on your side or not. You see a gun, there's a problem there.
Like even
But
if
also-
I am pro-gun, if I'm in the city and I see someone with a gun in their pants, it's like, oh, okay.
My thing with
You got to be able to stop the threat. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
a couple years ago, somebody showed up at a vigil and opened fire, and one of the leftists there put down the threat.
Exactly. You have somebody said this a while back and it stuck with me. There was an argument where people were saying, I don't believe in guns. And their response was, the bullets flying at us don't care what you believe.
Guns
And-
believe in you.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
I
exactly.
believe in-
I don't believe in
I
guns, but
believe
guns
in-
believe in you. So
Damn.
kind of doesn't matter what your position on gun control is. At some point, there are lethal threats against our community we need to be able to respond
Yeah.
to.
And it's and like obviously if someone asked me, do you think that gunpowder should have been invented, I might say no. I don't know what effect that would have on history, but it's like it's a tool.
Feels
It's like a
little
sword.
like begging a genie to like undo Bernoulli's principle or like put a negative sign in front of gravity. Like that is already a new universe.
Yeah. Yeah. But what's it like being one of only a few openly queer gun YouTubers in what's otherwise a very reactionary space?
I do have to say it's been fascinating because you have a lot of the like queer-oriented spaces. Alana, do you have to heart out? Peace. We love
Goodbye.
you.
Y'all have a good.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for coming.
See you again.
It has been somewhat weird having advertising the stuff in leftist spaces. You get, why are you talking about the queer stuff? And advertising or talking in leftist spaces, you'll get, why are you talking about guns? We don't want guns here. And when you talk about it in a lot of the gun spaces,
Well,
you
left
frequently
wing,
get
not really leftist.
left wing. Yeah, sorry. When
Yeah.
a lot of the left wing spaces, you will get a pushback on the idea of guns generally. And then in a lot of the gun oriented spaces, you get a pushback on the queerness specifically.
Mhm.
You'll suddenly get people who are like, I am pro gun all the time, but
But I
literally
think
had-
like I was watching your video on Garen Thumb. The way that they always phrase it is that what was it Judendarvin.
oh, the Jugendverderber.
Jugendverderber.
That's
Hey, Kevin,
it's not something
that's
that's
a-
really commonly used nowadays in terms of that word, but the concept behind that is what grooming is. Jugendverderber is the Nazi propaganda that literally just translates into English as corrupter of youth. It was the idea that queer people don't exist naturally. We have to recruit, and therefore we are always grooming others rather than like, no, queer people just exist naturally. It's pushing the idea of hating queer people as actually hating people who are molesting kids, which
Well, yeah, and that's why the pink triangle was worn by child predators and by trans women and gay men.
exactly, exactly, because they
The,
viewed that as the same thing.
Yes, and the way the argument is often framed is like, well, I don't think the Constitution should apply to pedophiles, and pedophiles obviously being a term used for
I don't think the Constitution should
folks.
apply to pedophilia. But
no. I'm saying the right wing argument is
oh,
that
I see. Right,
that
the right wing
queer folks
argument
should
is
be-
that. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yeah. To which I say I don't think that the Constitution should apply to social reactionaries. I'm half kidding. I'm half kidding. I'm one half kidding.
One half the cup.
I'm one half Bordiga. I'm one half a little jokester. A little jokester pranking around. Inside of me there are two wolves. Little jokester guy and Marx.
There's a version of that Two Wolves where it's like there's two wolves, one cares about OPSEC and PERSEC, and the other is shitposting to the ATF's Facebook page.
True.
Both are on a watch list.
Ooh, okay. Here's a question. Here's a question. What do you think about just to make sure our video gets like demonetized? What do you think about Ruby Ridge?
Okay. Ruby Ridge is a perfect example that the ATF is actively looking for cases where they can try to be the good guy and they're still failing. Ruby Ridge.
They're like the ATF is the federal government's little ragtag battalion, basically.
The ATF, I wouldn't even call them. They are their own group. They are worse than the Fed. The ATF is a group of bureaucratic monsters who believe themselves capable of writing and then executing the law. They flat out think that the reason braces were supposed to be banned and why 1 million people in the US became felons overnight is because they changed the law and braces were now stocks. These are people
and they
who
think that cigarettes are addictive.
I mean,
which you can quit whenever you want, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can quit anytime.
Yeah, Joku can
what's the
quit
Marcus
whenever
Twain
she
quote?
wants to.
Quitting's the easiest thing in the world to do. I know because I've done it thousands of times.
Yeah, exactly. Dumbass. Fucking.
That's the
ATF.
thing. The ATF doesn't focus on the alcohol and they don't focus on the tobacco. Because neither of those are really sexy big ticket marketing things
Dude,
anymore.
it's like my 3 favorite things, though. I don't know how they could be bad.
It used to be that alcohol was associated with moonshiners and with illegality. And then there was a period where there was a lot of illegally grown tobacco that was being shipped across state lines. And essentially there was an argument that it was fueling one of the early fuel sources for the mafia
It was an anti-mob.
being past the old tobacco law and the old tobacco taxes was one of the things that La Cosa Nostra flat out was using as a moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol and the tobacco have stopped being easy to market. Oh, look at how bad these people are type things. Because
they're all cool as fuck, you know?
Especially with like
Which
alcohol.
is why we're proud to be sponsored by Lucky Strike cigarettes. I got the deal, man. Lucky
Wouldn't the modern
Strike.
thing be like vaping? I feel
No,
like it would be
I got
vape
Lucky
company
Strike.
would do-
No, I love Lucky Strike unfiltered cigarettes. So I got them to sponsor us. They sent me a whole crate. It's awesome. And kids, they're doing a deal. They'll send you some Skittles and Lucky Strikes, and it's gonna be great. That was a joke. We are not affiliated with Lucky Strike.
It's also a thing that it's a
I
joke.
wish we
but I
were, though.
wouldn't put it past Philip Morris to start selling candy alongside their cigarettes. Like,
Dude,
that's not out of character.
What's
Marlboro.
your favorite kind of cigarette?
True.
What's your cigarette?
They said that they
choice?
quit. You're a
I
fucking
smoked
asshole.
Crush for the
Well, I'm
longest
asking
time.
what was their favorite.
Yeah, I smoked.
Crush?
The last time I smoked, I was smoking the Crush, the menthol ball cigarettes. There's
yeah.
a ball of menthol in the
Ew.
fucking filter itself.
Interesting.
That sucks.
It was. I like menthol, and the people around me frequently didn't. So it was like, I can have menthol, and I can give this to somebody else, and they don't have it. That or the Camel number 9s were like, that was my thing for a long time too. I only
Yeah.
quit like 4 years ago, and I have.
Congrats.
Oh, actually, hold on a half second.
Well,
I
not
think
really,
I still
'cause you
have
could-
a pack
You
of
could
Crash.
quit whenever you wanted. You should
Yeah.
smoke.
No,
them.
seriously,
You
I
should
have
start
kept-
smoking again.
Keep the pack around as a way of like making sure I am keeping willpower around.
You should smoke them.
I appreciate the bad will there, but no.
Dude, imagine how funny that would be, though. Can you?
This is the thing that makes me smoke again. No.
Yeah, like we convince someone who quit smoking to start smoking again on the podcast. But
Just,
Marlboro,
casually putting out negative vibes in the universe.
Marlboro does YouTube sponsorships, and if they
Not
reached out to us, it would be a real moral dilemma for me because it
I
would
wouldn't
be
I would do
so funny. I would
It
try.
shouldn't be a dilemma. Take their money. Shitpost with their money. 100%.
No,
Other
I
than
get
the rest
free
of the content
cigarettes.
on this, take their fucking money.
I get
We-
free cigarettes, and like it's a win-win. It's a win in every degree.
I'm pretty sure they're so desperate for positive media attention at this point. There's probably not going to be strict rules in them giving you money. You just have to do the plug.
Our last
So, like-
sponsor, the last sponsor that we plugged, we said that they use gay men with AIDS slave labor. Because they had a high vis shirt that we read as HIV shirt.
Oh,
You're like,
God.
it's made with gay men with AIDS in the field.
Jesus.
I hope we get sponsored by them.
I hope we
again.
get sponsored by them again.
Yeah, that would be
Shout
so.
out them.
Shout out them.
Yeah, shout out brand, bro. Dude,
Shout out random brand.
okay, wait, Queer
My
Armor,
brand.
can you do a sponsor read, make it as generic as possible, and I'll like replace brand with with whatever sponsors. Do a VPN ad. Do a VPN ad. Just say VPN, I'll replace it with whatever VPN sponsors us.
Do you not want to be where you are right now? Go
No.
somewhere else with
I'm in an abusive household. My dad hits me.
Let's stop the ad read, bro.
that killed the ad read dead.
Fuck.
Nice going.
Whatever happened to Yes and? Whatever happened to Yes and, bro?
Do you know
The
what Yes
abusive
and
father
got
happened
us?
to
It got
it.
us a fucking Pop-Tart movie.
Yeah, Yes and kid
Oh.
kiss.
Don't that series of words still just thinking about it makes my brain stop every other thought. and
Melissa
just think about
McCarthy
that.
and fucking what's the other fat one?
Amy Schumer.
And Amy Schumer in it. You
Oh my
I
God.
can you cut that out? No, leave that in. It's funny. I like how you instantly knew what I meant though.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, okay. There's like
Uh,
2 women in it.
I could have just said what's that other bitch? And well, I could that's
Oh,
misogynistic. I
God.
could have just said what's the other one.
It's either misogynistic or fat phobic.
Yeah, I like wait what would you rather it be? Queer Armor.
oh God.
You pick.
I feel like this is one of those cases where there is no good answer, and every single one I am just looking at like how terrifyingly bad that clip's gonna be out of context.
Do you still hit your wife type beat? Dude, there's about to be a
God, when
Twitter
I was
thread.
in college, there was a brief period of time where we started a recording group where everybody around us was talking about like wanting to generate fat beats, so that we had I am gonna get canceled for this. Our studio, we called it Anorexic Beats Production.
Hell yeah, bro.
Just because
Hell
like
yeah.
we do
They
not
say
our
woke
beats are
people
not
can't
fat.
have fun. They say woke people can't have fun, bro. Yeah. True. Well, now that Queer Armor's opinions on fat people are out there
Oh,
in
God.
the world,
Oh,
yeesh.
no. That was just a terrible joke from everybody overusing fat beats when I was a kid. That was over a decade ago. I am a
dude.
fucking
If there's a Twitter thread that comes out about you being on this, I will PayPal you all of the money that we make. No, 1/3 of the money that we make off of a sponsorship if we get sponsored on this one.
which
Yeah.
Twitter
Man.
is kind of its own nightmare, and it's just getting worse with Elon at the helm.
I think it's getting better. He's bringing free speech back, bro. Bringing it back, dude.
He's bringing it back to its original definition of free
Well,
speech.
I mean,
is
I
everything
got
approve of.
banned. I got banned on Twitter from the most anti-woke tweet of all time. I said something incredibly fucked up about a woman cop, and I got banned because the app is so woke.
Oh God. The number of
You
times
should
that I
hear
have
what
been
it
told.
says.
No.
Yeah.
Do not tell what. Do
You
not
brought it
say
up.
what. Dude, do not say what that tweet was.
I'm not going to, but you brought
Okay,
it up.
thank
I
God.
don't.
I
like,
just want you to know.
I hit the number of times I get told to kill myself on a daily basis on that.
Oh no, it
website,
was much
like-
worse than that. It was really bad.
I don't even know how you ethically posted that.
Dude, I was high and I asked you who in the room.
Why are you proud of this?
I'm not proud of
They
it.
are.
No,
I
I'm
don't know
not.
why. Yes, you are.
Dude, because I was making a free speech joke, and now I talked myself into a corner. What's your favorite gun?
Ooh.
And have you fucked any of your guns?
Okay, I specifically haven't.
Why'd you say it like that? Why'd you say I specifically haven't? You said
Technically,
gay.
no.
Because there, I feel like there are a lot of people who do like play stuff with guns, and I have borderline religious beliefs when it comes to my firearms. They
What
are
about
they are
airsoft?
thing.
What
Even
about a
still,
rubber gun?
rubber guns are training tools. They tend to be direct representations of a thing, which like our rubber guns we will like outfit like they're normal because you're trying to have them weighted the way that your normal carry
Ooh,
thing would because you're
kinky.
practicing with it.
Pinky the clown.
Weirdly, if I had to pick a favorite gun just to like knowing the potential audience, Glock 25. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah.
That's a no.
Which
for
one? Which
Yeah.
clock is it? Which clock is it?
So the
Is it the
Glock
subcompact or is it-
25 is one that they've only just very recently started bringing to the US because the US views 9 as a sporting round and 380, which is basically 9 with a little bit of the powder taken out, there's no quote sporting purpose for it. So even though there's a little bit less of an overpenetration risk, there's a little bit less recoil. They consider the more powerful, more dangerous version something you have a regular use case for. But the 380 one, it had to have been made in the US for them to sell it here. So they've only recently started selling them. The 25 is the normal 19 sized, but with a bullet that people love to argue it doesn't make my PP feel large enough. You made it smaller, and half the reason I'm doing this is compensating. 380 is, in my opinion, an exact min-max, and a lot of people hate on it because they want
Bro, what if they're wearing plates, bro?
or even just like bigger bullet means more damage when that's not how any of that shit
That's
works.
why
But
I
it's what you can
carry. I concealed carry a flare gun with a 50 BMG cartridge shoved into it.
Oh god, there are people who can like you're joking, but the fuddest conceal carry I can think of is there are people who carry the Taurus revolvers that are in shotgun shells, and their argument is like, you don't have to aim as much. No, you do, and also it kicks like a mule, and also reloading sucks, and also you have 5 shots of terrible aim. This is just a bad idea all around.
I love the Taurus shit. The Taurus shit's like really cool. It looks like they would be fun to take to the range, except that they're the most Looney Tunes ass things. And you know what? You have like Acme making them. It's literally fucking Acme ass guns, bro.
So Taurus started in Brazil when they kicked Beretta out of Brazil, and
Brazil. Have you seen Brazilian guns? Like the gangster guns in Brazil? They're the most.
Taurus's first guns are literally just Berettas. Like you can find a Taurus that is literally just a Beretta M9 because they just had the tooling and they kicked them out of the factory. So a lot of the early Taurus stuff is like knockoff Berettas, slowly getting worse with each generation.
So like buying my shotgun shell revolver is it's anti-imperialist praxis, is what you're saying. I'm fighting up against America KKKAN.
Is not the quote.
I think that. Do I need to tell Black Red Guard about this?
If I had to pick one gun as like a favorite thing, the FGC 9 from a theory perspective, it's FGC in this context literally stands for fuck gun control 9mm. It is a fully 3D printable 9mm pistol caliber carbine that you can go from no registered parts, no gun parts, no thing you had to buy that you could very clearly tell was a gun. Just go from a 3D printer to a capable 9mm with $300 in a month.
Oh, this is what that guy shot someone with at the murder trial was on a jury for.
Really? Huh.
Cut that out.
What's your favorite video game?
What's your favorite video?
Ooh,
with gun.
Favorite. I at the
have a
moment.
That the jury thing was a joke.
I want to answer Portal 2 just to fuck with you because that's technically a gun.
I mean, it has it in the name.
It's a fucked up gun.
If I had to pick, I've been geeking around single player Tarkov recently.
It's
Geek bar.
It's like Tarkov, but
bar.
not broken. Because
Man.
Tarkov's just full of hackers and is really obnoxious to play nowadays. And a team made a version of it that runs offline on your computer that it makes it playable again.
So what you're saying is that you have a huge skill issue and you want to play against bots, is what I'm hearing.
There is an entire video around how common the hackers are in that game. That like
Damn. I'm a
is
TF2
almost
player. You
disturbing.
think that you have it bad, buddy?
Hmm.
Huh.
See,
Game you should
TF2
play.
and Siege, the cheaters are like
Oh,
they record
Siege.
videos of it. They're like, "Oh, look, I'm cheating. Look how fun it is." Tarkov, it has such a weird like you have to get your gear out. It's such a painful experience that the cheating has like weight. A lot of the cheaters are like getting paid
Me
money
when
as
I'm
part of the
talking about a
problem.
game I like. Me when I'm talking about a game I like. The gameplay loop is a painful experience.
There's a reason I love the single player version of this. The loop is fun. The game is like it's intense, but if you take the cheaters out, it's at least play. It's like it's hard, but it's playable.
That's why I only play CS2 with bots.
Have you ever played Spec Ops: The Line?
Yes, fucking love that game.
Yeah.
Like, I love the idea of taking something that's just like a normal cover shooter and at the same time slipping in the message of how much propaganda there is in this genre normally and how you really should be analyzing.
That game looks sick.
Yeah, it's a really good game.
Is that the one that they stop? You can no longer buy it if you haven't already purchased it. I think they removed it from Steam.
I have it on Steam. I
Okay.
got it. Like
Maybe.
Worth
I know
playing.
they
Very
I know
worth
they,
playing.
they did
Okay.
that about some with like some Burnout racing game. I know that.
Spec Ops: The Line. It's still on Steam. Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
have it on Steam.
I've got.
Oh no!
I've got
Spec Ops: The Line no longer available. No longer available online.
damn, that's
As
that
of
sucks.
January, it's you can download it if you already had it on Steam.
Fuck, dude, I wanted to play that game.
I have it.
Oh hell yeah! Shout out Joku. So another question: what's your least favorite YouTuber who's done nothing wrong? Like they're not a bad person, you just hate them.
Ooh, so you're just asking me to create drama for no
Yeah,
reason,
just start
basically.
shit, dude. That's what I'm saying. Our first episode was us doing this, by the way.
What's your favorite Matt Pat thumbnail?
What's your favorite Matt Pat though? We started so much shit with Matt Pat.
It doesn't matter. He's not here anymore. He quit.
Yeah, he's not here anymore. Say fuck Matt Pat, bro. Start shit.
I
Start shit with
actually
Matt
liked
Pat, bro.
Matt Pat content. Matt Pat is somebody who is one of the people whose content I watched a lot early on because I love a lot of his early game theory type content. It was something I have
What's
like
your favorite Matt Pat
inhaled.
video?
What's your favorite Matt? I like the boobs one.
Yeah, I like the boobs one.
Start Killbox.
What?
The teleporter is actually killing the person in the teleporter room and making a new cloned copy of them.
Interesting.
That's nice. But have you ever seen the Style Theorists? How about?
I thought that was going to be
Theory?
complete nonsense, and then there was a handful of them that were like, that makes some sense, but it's definitely like, I don't
You're
get why
like,
they
"Whoa,
made a
white
whole
boy's
fourth
spitting."
channel.
What's your favorite food theory video?
Is it the
I've
one
not
where
watched
he eats
them.
a horse?
What?
Yeah, he eats a horse.
Bro, stand the
I have not
thumbnail
been watching
tape?
enough of this, apparently. What
Do you
the
want to
fuck?
see, dude? Are we really doing a callback to episode 1 of the podcast and looking at Matt Pat food theory thumbnails?
No. I
Apparently.
just want you to. I want you to see the thumbnail.
Oh, okay.
Just,
It's in our first video.
Yeah. I was wondering if you had the file. Is all I was asking.
No, I'm gonna have to go to our first video and look. But that's fine. Welcome back to React content. Let's go. Episode 1: apology, channel update, Q&A, and stirring drama with Matt Pat. We don't even talk about a movie.
It was funny watching you navigate the screen, like several steps removed.
The horse thumbnail.
Yeah, the horse thumbnail.
Where's the horse?
Problem is, there's no visuals. I don't know what we're
There
supposed
is.
to be seeing.
Where are the visuals?
Yeah. Eat
What?
on these. Yeah, eat these. Domino's worst nightmare.
when you're editing this, can you just put up like the video?
The
that will-
hidden dangers of peanut butter.
Can you just put up like the video, this video, like the
Yeah.
first episode?
Sure.
I am. I
Did
did
we
not
show the
watch
horse
any of his food theory stuff apparently.
We,
or, like,
we were
barely
laughing
any.
we were laughing our asses off at the horse one.
Yeah, let me. we have, dude, fake flavor. Blue raspberry is a complete lie. He discovered that raspberries aren't blue.
Bro,
Okay, I'm gonna find
my fucking my raspberry vape is not real.
dude. That's
Say it-
not even real raspberry.
Say it
man.
ain't so.
I forgot how good it is, bro. Oh, shit. Oh my god. Dude, he's chasing a horse, and the horse is doing epic derp face, bro. Oh my
I don't
god.
know if that or the parody is better.
The parody's worse, bro. Mad
No,
Pet
why,
chasing
can we
after
watch the 11-second parody?
Sure.
Is this supposed to be more than one frame? Because I think
Evil-
the stream might have
evil horse.
fucked.
Evil horse. You didn't miss much. Man.
Does not seem like it.
Well-
Do you like the Matt Pat thumbnail?
Julie, So,
that was fucking
you're
ridiculous.
not
That was
willing to
genuinely
say
insane.
you're not willing to say that you would hurt Matt Pat.
I am not willing to wish
You're not
bodily
willing
harm
to
upon Matt
threaten-
Pat.
So what I'm hearing is that you're not willing to threaten Matt Pat on the podcast.
Okay, a YouTuber that has done absolutely nothing wrong.
Ooh,
Hey.
we're starting.
Is this the penultimate question?
Steve 1989 MRE.
Yeah, fuck you, Steve, you little bitch.
I love his content. I love his video style. I always have it on in the background because he's always weirdly positive, even when he's shitting on the thing. And sometimes it is fun having like you have this like very lovely, nice guy being like, "This is the exact worst meal I've ever eaten." Just like it's, but like
Oh,
saying
a
it like
food
he's
critic.
critiquing
Binging with
MREs
Babbitt.
specifically. It's a very specific genre of content, and most of the stuff he's eating is like has been expired for decades.
Hell yeah.
But all with the most even, pleasant tone. Like it could be like he's actively eating botulism, and he's like, "This is the meal that is going to kill me. It is slowly destroying my insides." But you can hear the smile while he's describing the poison. I love listening to it, but if I had to pick shit with somebody, it would be that.
Okay, yeah, fuck that guy, little pussy.
I actually love his videos.
Did you-
love his videos.
Did you have any questions? You're too nice of a person. Stop. This is a cutthroat business. Showbiz is cutthroat, baby. You need to be willing to talk shit. You gotta stab people in the back. Moment you get off of this, we're starting drama with you, and we're gonna make a lot of money.
Content culture and its consequences has
Yeah.
been terrible for humanity.
No, it's been pretty lit. Joku, did you have any questions? Any more questions?
Have
for
you
Cordell?
played the Elden Ring DLC?
The last FromSoft
journalists.
game I played was one of the Armored Core series. I haven't been
Did
playing.
you
those-
play the new Armored Core then?
I haven't even played the new one. I haven't played past like I want to say 6 or 5, like an older one.
Wow.
Have you
It's
ever
pretty
played? Have you ever played with yourself?
With a gun.
With the gun?
God,
Has a bayonet ever been inside of you? Alright.
very specifically avoiding the exact worst out of context quotes.
Damn, you're like Neo in this bitch.
Dodging bullets left and right.
Yeah,
Literally.
literally. Because we have been open firing on them this
Yeah.
entire podcast. But
Y'all have
before
any
we-
other questions?
Yeah, but I had one last question before you go. What would you like to shout out? Where can people find you?
I actually
so
have
I'm-
one question.
Okay,
Oh,
never
shoot.
mind. Joku, shoot.
What
your
would
shit, bro.
you name your firstborn?
Would you name it Gun? Would you name it Gunny? Gunny Jr.?
Would you name them after a gun?
I would name them. I don't know if I want to go like actually weirdly personal and depressing.
Yeah, give Fox.
When I was 18, my then fiance OD'd on heroin, so I would name her Sam.
Oh wow.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
World's wild.
Welcome back to another wacky outro of composting. I'm
Talking about our
Rosa.
dead friends while having a laugh. You know, just
I'm
casual
Rosa.
fun jokes.
You say the line.
I'm
Wait.
Joku!
And we're okay. We'll do another take. Okay. I'm Rosa.
I'm Joku!
And we're composting. Okay. Where can people find you? What's your address?
My usual videos are posted on YouTube. I also occasionally on YouTube at Queer Armor. I also both do weird threads of information and just random messages on content and shit on Twitter. I'm also trying to post a lot of the educational videos on Twitter as well, because it seems like it just has more of a reach there.
It's the everything app after all. So
if you want to be supporting the channel and the work that I do, I'm over on Patreon at Queer Armor. And if you are in New Hampshire and you want to go shooting with a bunch of queer folk, I run a group called Rainbow Reload where we help queer folk train and arm themselves. So go on Facebook and look up Rainbow Reload.
What's the New Hampshire state motto again? Isn't it like
live free or die?
Fuck.
Yeah, live free or die.
Yeah.
I was in New Hampshire recently.
New Hampshire, for better and worse, we have a lot of very local politics and a lot of very like weird specific flavors of things.
We have
a lot of people who give a fuck about nothing but personal freedom, to the point that
last time I was in New Hampshire, my friend got attacked by a police officer.
Why?
We're not gonna go into detail.
Okay. This has been a very special episode of Composting. Shout out to Vero for the beautifully drawn thumbnail.
Woo!
Yeah, shout out.
When is Vero coming on the podcast?
She doesn't speak English.
Well, we watch a Spanish film, and then we...
Okay, I guess I do speak Spanish. So, do you speak Spanish?
No.
So you're just gonna like sit there while we talk in Spanish?
Yeah.
That would be a really good episode. I'll ask them about that. Alright, well, thanks for coming on. This has been Composting. Shout out the Patreon, shout out the Twitch. Check our shit out. Shout out OJ Simpson.